chosen one. Yes, you. The one who felt the room tilt a half-inch a moment ago, before you had a single reason for it. Before the first real word of this lands, do 5 small things with me. Lower yourself into the chair and let it hold your whole weight. You have been carrying yourself all day, and you can set that down now. If there is a door standing open near you, get up and close it. What I have to tell you is not for the hallway. Turn your phone face down on the table, screen to the wood, so nothing can reach in and pull you back out while we talk. Now find your jaw. You have been holding it without knowing, holding it for hours, maybe longer. Let it come loose, and breathe out, not the polite little breath, the long one, the one that empties you all the way to the floor, and let the next breath arrive on its own, without your permission. Good. That is the chosen one I came here to find. Now listen closely, because something was read this week, not written. Written happened a long time ago, quietly, in a room with the blinds half down. This week it was read. Somebody finally sat with a thing that was built to end you, and went through it line by line, all the way to the last page, and the wrong person walked out of that room shaking. Not you. Now we can begin. For a long time they believed they had you on paper. That is the word I want you to hold. Paper. They looked at your steadiness and wrote it down as a problem. They looked at your patience and logged it as difficulty. They took the way you kept your head down and did your work and asked for nothing, and they filed it, chosen one, as the behavior of someone who already knew they were finished. Every quiet thing you ever did got copied into a folder and read backward until it meant the opposite of what it was. They gathered it. They dated it. They believed they were assembling a case. Here is the sentence I came all this way to hand you, and I will say it the way it was said in that room, plainly, with nothing softened. Human resources pulled the file they built against you, and it cleared you instead. I am not going to tell you yet who opened it. I am not going to tell you what their face did when they reached the page that turned the whole thing over on its back. That belongs to later, to the middle of this, where it will land the way it is meant to land. For now, just hold the shape of it. The exact stack of paper assembled to justify walking you out the door became the thing that proved you should never have been touched at all. Sit with that for one breath before we go further. Because here is what almost nobody understands about a file like that. They think they are building a weapon. They are not. They are building a record. And a record has a terrible, quiet honesty to it that a weapon does not. Because a weapon only has to hurt you once, but a record has to survive being read. Every entry they put in there to bury you had to be true enough to hold up. And true enough to hold up is a door that swings both ways. You did not know any of this was happening. I want to be precise with you, chosen one, because the difference matters more than anything else I will say tonight. You were not unprotected. You were unaware. Those are two entirely different conditions, and only one of them is a weakness. All those months you thought you were simply being ignored or slowly pushed toward the edge. The record was already doing the one thing they never planned for it to do. It was keeping you. Imagine this, a long night shift in a building nobody visits after dark. And one job on that shift is to keep a log. Every hour, on the hour, someone writes down where a certain person was and what that person was doing, because the whole point of the log is to prove that person is a problem. Page after page, hour after hour, night after night, the entries pile up. And the person keeping the log is so sure of what it will show that they never once read it as a whole. Then somebody does. Somebody sits down with all those hours in one stack and does not see a case. They see an alibi, signed, timed, and dated in the handwriting of the very people who wanted the door closed. The log, built to convict, wrote out an innocence instead, one honest hour at a time. That is the room. That is this week. That is the thing they cannot take back now that it has been seen. So let me set something down for you before we take another step, chosen one, because I suspect you have been carrying the wrong version of this for a long time. No, you did not miss the moment you were supposed to defend yourself. No, your silence during all of it was not you giving up. No, you were not being slow or weak or too proud to fight. You did not fight because you did not need to. The truth of what you actually did was already written down, in their own hand, in a folder you never saw. You were being defended by a document you did not know existed, kept by people who did not know they were keeping it. If that is reaching the place it is supposed to reach, do one small thing for me. Tap the like and subscribe. Not for me. I promise you this message does not need my numbers. It needs to move. Somewhere out there tonight is a person sitting exactly where you were an hour ago, certain the file has already decided them, and this has to reach them before they believe it. Send it forward. That is the whole assignment. Now, before we go any deeper, this is the place where the room quietly thins out. Some of you came here out of nothing more than curiosity. You saw the words, you felt a small tug behind the ribs. You clicked. There is no shame in that, none at all. But right about now, the merely curious begin to drift. They go looking for the next voice, the next promise, the next thing that asks nothing of them. Let them go. This was never made to hold everyone in the room. It was made to hold the ones it was written for. And the ones it was written for are doing the opposite of drifting. You got stiller. Something in your chest tightened the way it does when a stranger says your own private thought back to you in your own words. If that is you, chosen one, then do this one thing. Go down to the comments and set down the number 999. Just that. Not for luck, and not because it is trending. Set it down as a signal, plain and clear, that you are locked in, and you intend to hear this through to the last word. Think of it as a hand raised in a quiet room. I will see it, and so will the others sitting alone with this tonight, and every one of them will know they are not the only one. Here is what comes next, and it is not more feeling. It is not more comfort. It is 12 pieces laid out in order, one at a time, showing you exactly how the file was built, exactly what happened when the wrong person finally read it, and exactly why the room it was read in went silent. 12 pieces. Follow them all the way down. Number 1. The room where it was built. They did not gather a weapon against you, chosen one. They gathered a record. And a record answers to a truth they did not control. Picture the room where it started. Not dramatic. That is the first thing to understand. It was an ordinary room, with an ordinary door that clicked when it shut. And inside it, 1 or 2 or 3 people who had decided that you were the difficulty. Not that you were wrong. They rarely thought that far. just that you were in the way of something easier. And so they began to collect. They collected the way people collect when they have already reached the verdict and only need the reasons. Backward. They knew the ending they wanted, and they went hunting through the record of your ordinary days for anything that could be made to point at it. The email you sent at the wrong hour, the project that ran long for reasons that were never yours, the meeting where you disagreed and were right, which is the most unforgivable thing a quiet person can do. Here is what they never once stopped to consider. To build a file that could actually move you out, it had to be able to survive a reading by someone who was not in the room when it was written. That is the rule of every serious record. It has to hold up in front of a stranger. And so, to make it strong enough to hurt you, they had to make it true enough to be checked. Every dishonest entry was a crack. Every exaggeration was a place the whole thing could split. So they wrote it carefully, accurately. They wrote down what actually happened. And what actually happened, chosen one, was that you did your work. Imagine this. A man building a wall across a field to keep someone out, and he is proud of the wall, and he works on it for months. But he is a careful builder, so he stamps every brick with the date he laid it and the initials of his own hand, because that is what careful builders do. He is not thinking about what the wall says. He is thinking about how high it stands. Years later, no one cares how high the wall is. They care about the stamps. Every brick is a signed and dated confession of exactly who built the thing, and when, and how long they worked at it. The wall meant to keep a person out became the clearest possible proof of who spent their life trying to keep them out. That is what a file is. A wall of dated bricks with somebody's initials on every one. They thought they were the ones holding the pen. They were the ones leaving the fingerprints. Number 2, the honesty they could not avoid. Every line written to sink you had to be real, and real is the one thing that does not take sides. There is a reason liars keep their story short. Detail is dangerous to a lie, because detail can be checked, and a thing that can be checked can be caught. The people building your file knew this without ever saying it out loud. They were not writing a story from nothing. They were writing a story that had to be walked back through, step by step, by people whose entire job is to look for the step that does not hold. So watch what that forced them to do. It forced them to stay near the truth. It forced them to write down the actual dates because false dates unravel. It forced them to attach the actual messages because invented ones can be exposed. It forced them to describe what you actually said because your real words could be produced and theirs could not. In their hurry to build something that would survive scrutiny, they built something scrupulously, fatally accurate, and accuracy was never their friend. It was yours. You have felt this principle your whole life without a name for it. The moment someone has to be specific about you, they lose the ability to distort you. Vague accusations float, detailed ones sink, and they take the accuser down with them. Imagine this. A photographer told to take a picture that makes a person look guilty. So they set the light hard and low, and they catch the person mid-blink, mid-word, at the worst possible fraction of a second, and they are pleased with it. But a photograph does not only record what you pointed at, It records everything in the frame, the whole room, the far wall, the window behind the subject. And in that window, faint but there, is the reflection of the one holding the camera. They photographed you to condemn you and left themselves standing in the glass, in the same frame for anyone who bothered to look past the person they were aiming at. That is your file, aimed at you, full of them. Chosen one. This is why you never had to lie, and never had to spin, and never had to build a counterstory in the dark. The most honest account of what happened was the one they wrote themselves, trying to end you. All it ever needed was a reader who would look at the whole frame instead of the face they were told to look at. Here is the line they cannot say out loud. The more careful they were, the cleaner your name came out at the other end. Number 3. What they thought your silence meant. They watched you say nothing through all of it, and they wrote down the wrong word for it. Now we come to the part that cost you the most, because it cost you sleep. Through the whole slow process, the meetings that felt strange, the questions that had an edge, the sudden interest in your calendar, you stayed quiet. You did not make a scene. You did not campaign for yourself in the hallway. You answered what you were asked, and you went home, and you carried it alone. And they watched you do that, and they filed it under the worst possible heading. They decided your silence was an admission. In that room, when a person goes quiet under pressure, the people applying the pressure tell themselves a flattering story, that the quiet is guilt, that the quiet is surrender. That you had gone still because you knew, somewhere inside, that they were right about you. Every day you did not fight, they grew more certain. Look at that, they said to each other without saying it. No defense, no fire. They must know it is over. They read the calmest thing about you as the guiltiest. Here is what your silence actually was, chosen one. And I want you to take it back tonight. It was not surrender. It was not a confession. It was the stillness of a person who did not yet know they were being defended, but was, all the same. You did not raise your voice because something in you, call it instinct, call it the quiet in you that has always known things before you did, understood that the truth did not need your volume to survive. You went still the way a foundation goes still under a storm, not because it is losing, because it has nothing to prove to the wind. Imagine this, a game between two players, and one of them has already, several moves ago, arrived at a position that cannot lose. The winning player does not gloat, does not lean forward, does not announce it. They simply stop reaching. To the other player, hunched and busy and sweating over the board, that stillness reads as fear, as a person who has run out of ideas. So the busy one presses harder, plays faster, throws everything forward, reading calm as weakness, right up until the moment the board closes and they finally see what the stillness was. It was never fear. It was a person who had already won and was only waiting for the game to catch up. You were the still one. They mistook it for defeat every single day. No, you did not fail to speak up for yourself. No, your quiet was not you agreeing with them. You were holding your peace over a truth that was holding you. Number 4, why you did not defend yourself. You did not build a case because you already were the case, and you cannot argue with your own record. You may have wondered in the low hours whether you should have fought harder, written the long email, marched in and demanded the meeting, made your name loud in the places where names get decided. That regret has been sitting on your chest, and tonight I want to lift it off, because it is built on a mistake about how any of this actually works. A defense is a thing you build when the truth is not enough on its own. You gather witnesses because the plain facts might not carry. You make the speech because the record might not speak for itself. But your record did speak for itself. It did not need a spokesman. Everything you would have said in your own defense was already written down in their file, in their handwriting, notarized by their own effort to use it against you. You did not have to make the case. You were the case, and the case was clean. There is a kind of person who cannot stop explaining themselves, and everyone in every room can feel it. The over-explaining is a tell. It says, "I am not sure the truth will hold me up, so I am going to hold it up myself." You did not carry that tell, chosen one. You could not have carried it even if you tried, because underneath you, unseen, the ground was already solid. Over-explanation is what people reach for when the floor feels thin. Your floor was never thin. Imagine this, a house built into rock, deep, its footings sunk far below where any eye can see. When the wind comes, and it always comes, the house does not throw out ropes. It does not brace itself with visible struggle. It does not argue with the storm about whether it deserves to stand. It simply stands quietly, because the argument was settled years ago, down in the dark, in the pouring of the foundation. The people watching from outside see a house doing nothing while the weather screams at it. They do not see the tons of certainty holding it in place from below. That was you through all of it. Doing nothing, apparently. Held by everything, actually. Here is the line they cannot say out loud. The person with nothing to prove looks exactly like the person with no defense, right up until the file is opened. And, chosen one, the file has been opened. Number 5. The name reread. Someone finally read your name in the file the way it was actually written, and not the way they were told to read it. Now I will tell you what I held back at the beginning. The file did not sit forever with the people who built it. That is not how it works, and they forgot it. A file that is meant to move a person out has to leave the room. It has to go up. It has to cross a desk that belongs to someone who was not there when it was assembled, who has no stake in the ending, who reads for a living and reads without the story attached. Human resources pulled the whole thing, every page, because the process required a review, and the review put it in front of fresh eyes. And here is the moment. That reader came to your name, the same name that appears on every page of that file, the name the builders had written and rewritten until they could no longer see it as a person. But the new reader did not have their story in their head. They did not know you were supposed to be the difficulty. They only had the words on the page, and they read your name the way it was actually written, attached to accurate dates, real messages, honest accounts of a person who kept showing up and doing the work, and something did not match. Because the conclusion at the front of that file did not fit the evidence behind it. The cover said, "Remove this person." The pages said, "This person did nothing wrong." And a reader with no stake in the ending trusts the pages, always, over the cover. That is the entire discipline of reading a record. The summary lies, the record does not. Imagine this: a letter written in fury and sealed, meant to wound the person who opens it. The writer chose every cruel word on purpose, but the letter is written in a language the writer only half knows, and they got a few words wrong. Small words, the kind that flip a meaning end over end. Years later, the intended reader finally opens it and reads it fluently, in the language as it truly is. And the letter does not wound. It apologizes. It confesses. It says, without meaning to, the exact opposite of what the furious hand intended. Same ink, same page. A reader who actually knew the language. That is what happened to your name, chosen one. It was reread by someone who knew the language, and in the true reading, it did not say what they built it to say. Number 6. The clean page. What they wrote to darken your name is the very thing that came back, showing it clean. Give it a name so you can carry it out of here and keep it. What that reader found at the bottom of a file built to end you was a clean page. Not blank. I do not mean blank. I mean cleared. Your name at the top, and underneath it, a record that acquits. The clean page. Say it to yourself, because it is yours now, and it was signed by the people who least wanted to sign it. Understand how strange and complete this is. If the people building the file had lied outright, the reviewer might have caught the lie and thrown out the file, and you would have survived on a technicality, saved by their sloppiness. But that is not what happened. They did not lie. They told the truth and expected the truth to convict you, and the truth refused. Refused in front of a witness whose only loyalty is to what the page actually says. There is no cleaner way to be cleared than to be cleared by the honest record of the ones who wanted you gone. This is the thing I asked you to hold at the very start, and now you can set it down where it belongs. The weapon and the proof were the same object. There was never a second document. The thing that was meant to be the case against you was, when finally read, the case for you. They spent all that effort building one file, and it turned out to have two faces, and the face they never looked at is the one that was facing you the whole time. Imagine this: a page held down flat on a desk under the lamp, and it reads one way, and everyone in the room nods because that is the way it was meant to read. Then somebody lifts it and holds it up to the window, to the daylight, and the watermark appears. The mark pressed into the paper when it was made, invisible under the lamp, unmistakable in the light. It was always there. It was in the fiber of the page from the first day. It only ever needed to be held up to a different light to be seen. And once it is seen, it cannot be unseen, and it cannot be printed away, because it is not on the page. It is in it. Your innocence was the watermark, chosen one, pressed into the record from the start. It only needed one reader to hold it up to the light. Here is the line they cannot say out loud. They wrote your name 100 times trying to stain it, and every copy came back clean. Number 7. The case comes apart. Once the true reading landed, every page they built stopped pointing at you and started pointing at them. Now watch what happens to their side of it, because this is where the room they built starts coming down around them. A case is a structure. It has load-bearing pieces. Pull the main one, and it does not sag politely, it drops. The load-bearing piece of the file against you was a single hidden assumption, never written on any page, but holding up every page, that you were guilty, and the record simply proved it. The reviewer removed that assumption, not out of kindness to you, they did not know you. They removed it because the record did not support it. And the instant that assumption was gone, every page in the file had to be reread with a different question. Not, what did this person do wrong, but why was someone building this? And now, every entry answers the second question instead of the first. The careful log of your ordinary days stops being a record of your failings and becomes a record of their attention. Why was this person watching your calendar so closely? Why was this ordinary email saved and dated and flagged? Why did it take this much effort to remove someone who, by the file's own honest account, kept doing the work they were asked to do? The very thoroughness that was meant to bury you now measures, precisely in their own dates and their own initials, exactly how hard they worked to bury you. Imagine this, a bridge held up by one keystone, and everyone crossing it admires how solid it looks, how permanent, how obviously meant to stand. Then the keystone is quietly slipped out, not smashed, just removed. And for a strange half-second, nothing happens. The bridge still hangs there in the shape of a bridge out of pure habit. And then it remembers gravity, and it comes down all at once, and it does not come down as a bridge. It comes down as a pile of the exact same stones, now proving only that they were never really holding each other up. Same stones, no bridge, just rubble with dates on it. That is their case now. The same pages in a heap, each one stamped with when it was laid and by whom. No, you did not have to knock it down. No, you did not have to prove a thing. You only had to be innocent long enough for someone honest to read the record, and the structure fell on its own architects. Number 8, their sleepless recount. They are not angry tonight, chosen one. They are rereading, hunting the file for the line that saves them, and it is not there. Something has settled over the people who built it, and it is not rage. Rage would be easier. Rage burns hot and burns out and lets a person sleep. What has settled on them instead is a slow, circling recount. They have gone back to the file, their own file, the one they were so proud of, and they are reading it again, line by line, but now for a different reason. Now they are looking for the sentence they can stand on, the one entry that still, somehow, makes them right. They will not find it, and they cannot stop looking, because stopping means accepting what the honest reader already accepted, that the thing they built to be a case was, from the first page, a confession. So they reread. They tell themselves the reviewer missed something, misunderstood the context, did not know you the way they knew you. They reach for the context like a man reaching for a rope that is on the wrong side of the boat. The problem is the one thing they cannot fix. They cannot rewrite it. It has been read now by the right eyes and logged as read. Every version they wish they had written is a version that does not exist. And the version that exists is signed and dated and in the reviewer's hands. You cannot revise a record after it has cleared someone. The ink is theirs. The reading is done. Imagine this, a proofreader alone in an office long after everyone is gone, certain there is a single error somewhere in a document, one typo that changes everything, and they read it top to bottom and find nothing. So they read it bottom to top and still nothing, and they sharpen the pencil and start again, because the alternative is unbearable. The alternative is that the document is exactly right, and it was their own understanding, not the text, that was wrong all along. The lamp buzzes, the page does not change, and they read it and read it and read it, hunting a mistake that was never in the ink. That is where they live now, chosen one, rereading a clean page, looking for the stain, all night, forever, in a file that already spoke. Here is the line they cannot say out loud. You cannot appeal a record that acquitted the person you wrote it to convict. Number 9. There is no second file. They spent everything on the first one, and there is nothing behind it to fall back on. Here is the part they are only now beginning to feel in the pit of them. There was only ever one file. Think about what building it took, the months of quiet collecting, the careful dating, the saved messages, the noted absences, the whole patient architecture of removal. That was not a first draft with a backup behind it. That was the effort, all of it, spent, poured into one document that was supposed to be more than enough, because they never once imagined it could fail. Why would they build a second case against a person they were certain the first case would finish? You do not bring two knives to a fight you have already decided you have won. So when the first file cleared you instead of condemning you, they reached back for the reserve, out of instinct, the way anyone reaches, and their hand closed on nothing. There is no other folder, no cleaner version, no stronger draft, no second stack of evidence held quietly in reserve for exactly this emergency. Everything they had, they used, and what they had, read honestly, exonerates you, which means they are not one step from you with a weaker weapon. They are standing empty-handed in a room that has already heard the verdict. Imagine this. A player who pushes the entire stack forward on a single hand, everything, no chips held back, because they have read the table and they are sure. It is a magnificent, total commitment, and for one moment it looks like mastery. Then the cards turn and the hand is dead, and now watch the specific horror of it. It is not that they lost a hand. It is that there is nothing left to play the next one with. The stack is gone. The chair is still warm, but the game is over for them, because you cannot bet what you already spent, and you cannot unpush an all-in. That is their position tonight, all in on one file. The file cleared you. The stack is gone. Chosen one. Understand what this does to the road ahead of you. It is not that you defeated them and now must brace for the counterattack. It is that the counterattack has no ammunition. They fired the one true shot they had, and it curved in the air and cleared you, and the chamber behind it is empty. Number 10. What they cannot name. You can argue with a person, chosen one, but you cannot argue with the truth once it has been written down and read. Here is the thing nobody says plainly about what frightens people at this level. It is not a strong opponent. A strong opponent has a shape. You can study them, match them, outspend them, wait them out. What empties the color out of a person's face is losing to something that has no shape to fight, and the truth has no shape to fight. Think about what they would have to do to undo this. They would have to find someone to blame, and there is no one, because they wrote it themselves. They would have to discredit the reviewer, and they cannot, because the reviewer only read what was there. They would have to attack the file, and they cannot, because the file is their own work, sworn to and dated by their own hands. Every direction they turn to push, there is nothing to push against, because the thing that beat them was not a rival with a position, it was accuracy. And you cannot corner accuracy. You cannot flatter it into neutrality or buy its silence or wait for it to lose interest. It just sits there on the page, being true. Imagine this, a person swinging at fog. They are strong and their aim is good, and they have won every fight they were ever in. But this time, the thing in front of them has no body. Their fist goes through it and closes on nothing and comes out the other side, and the fog simply reforms, unbothered, exactly where it was. They swing again, harder, and it costs them everything and changes nothing. There is no wound to open because there is no flesh. There is only a truth-shaped presence that fills the whole room and cannot be hit, and a person exhausting themselves against air. That is what they are fighting now, chosen one, not you, the written truth of you. And it does not bleed, and it does not tire, and it does not care how hard they swing. Here is the line they cannot say out loud. The most dangerous thing in the room is a fact that has already been read by someone who cannot be reached. And notice, they cannot even warn each other. Warn them of what? That the truth got out? Say that in a room of practical people and watch their faces. So they carry it in silence, and a thing carried in silence only grows heavier. Number 11. You were never on trial. The verdict about you was true before they ever opened the folder, and now it has simply been read aloud. There is a posture you have been holding, and it is time to set it down for good. The posture of the accused. The one who waits to hear whether the room will decide they are acceptable. You have been standing in that posture for so long you forgot it was a posture, waiting for the ruling, bracing for the ruling, arranging your face for the ruling. And tonight, I need you to hear this and let it reorganize you from the spine out. You were never actually on trial. A trial decides a truth that is genuinely in question. Your truth was never in question, not to anyone honest and not to the record itself. The file did not create your innocence when it was read. It found it. It was already there, whole, from the first ordinary day of your ordinary good work. What the reading did was not reach a verdict. It reported one that had been true the entire time you spent afraid of it. So the fear you carried through all of this, the low humming dread that maybe, this time, the room would decide against you, was fear over a question that was already answered. You were waiting for a jury to come back on a case that had already been dismissed before it was ever filed. And that changes how you walk out of here. You do not walk out relieved, like someone who narrowly escaped. You walk out corrected, like someone who was right the whole time and finally heard it confirmed out loud. Imagine this. A verdict written down and sealed in an envelope before the proceedings even begin. Not because anyone cheated, but because in this one case, the answer was never uncertain. And the accused sits through every day of it in agony, watching faces, reading the room, sure their whole life hangs on what is inside that envelope. And when it is finally opened and read, it says what it always said, what it said before the first witness was ever called. Cleared. The suffering was real. The uncertainty never was. Chosen one, you cannot be rejected by a room whose decision about you was made, and made rightly, before the room ever convened. No, you did not barely survive this. No, you did not slip through a crack. You were cleared because you were clean, and you were clean the whole time you were most afraid you were not. Number 12. It is on the record now. What has been written down and read cannot be unread, and it is finished. Something has hardened, chosen one, not around you, in the record and under your feet and out ahead of you where the road runs. And this is the piece the people who built the file misread most badly of all. They believe that being read is the end of a document's danger to them. They think that once the verdict is out, they can argue it back into softness. But a reading is not a soft thing. A reading is a setting. What was fluid, a stack of pages that could still, in theory, have gone either way, became, the moment the right eyes crossed it, a fixed and finished fact. It is on the record now, and the record does not take fingerprints anymore. So the clearing is not a fragile new thing you have to protect. It is done. It happened in a room you did not have to enter, decided by a reader you did not have to persuade, on the strength of a truth you did not have to argue. Your part in it is over, and your part was only ever to keep being who the record honestly showed you to be. You did that. You did it before you knew it counted. Imagine this. A slab of concrete poured at dusk, and for a few hours it is soft, and anyone passing could press a hand in, drag a stick, leave a mark. The people who wanted to mark it were sure that window would stay open. They went home to fetch their sticks. They came back the next morning ready to make their impression and found stone. Not softening, not negotiable. The surface takes nothing now. The shape set while they were not paying attention, and the hours for changing it are gone, and every stick they drag across it now only makes a scratch that proves how hard it has become. Your name on that clean page is the shape that's set. They can come back with their sticks. It is stone. Here is the line they cannot say out loud. You do not have to win a case that has already been decided in your name. No, you did not miss a step. No, you did not go too far or wait too long or fail to fight at the hour you were supposed to fight. There was no missed step, chosen one, because the steps were never the mechanism. The mechanism was the truth, written down by the wrong people, read at last by the right one, and set into the record where nothing they do can reach it. It is cleared. It is signed. It is done. Go stand on it. So we come to the end of it. They know now. Somewhere in a room that went silent, the last page turned, and the file they built to end you finished the exact opposite sentence than the one they wrote it to say. Let them sit in that silence, chosen one. Their knowing changes nothing that has already been decided in your favor. It never had that kind of power, and it does not have it now. That silence in their room is not a defeat you have to guard. It is the sound of a thing being finished correctly. The record was clean before they read it, and it is clean after. And the only thing the reading changed is that now it has been said out loud in a place they cannot take it back from. Come back one last time to the clean page. You spent so long dreading the file as the thing that would decide you. It did decide you, and it decided in your favor, in the honest hand of the people who least wanted to. That is not luck, and it is not a loophole. It is what happens when a true record meets one honest reader. What they built to bury you held your defense in its own fibers the entire time, pressed in like a watermark, waiting only for the light. Imagine this, a verdict read out in an empty courtroom before dawn. No crowd, no ceremony, just one voice reading one clean page aloud to a room full of nobody. And the words are true whether anyone is there to hear them or not. And they were true before the reading, and they stay true after the door is locked and the lights go out. The truth did not need the audience. It only needed to be read once correctly, and it was. No, you are not lucky. No, you did not escape. You were cleared because you were clean, and the paper they sharpened against you is the paper that says so. Here is the line they cannot say out loud. The file they built to prove you were the problem is now the only proof that you never were. So carry it out. Do not stop at the door to ask whether the ruling is really final. It was final before you reached the door, and it was never theirs to reverse. Do not turn around to search their faces for permission to feel cleared. Permission is not the currency here. The record is, and the record is closed, and it is closed in your name. And understand how you walk from here, chosen one, not defending. That season is over. You have nothing left to prove, because the proof was entered into evidence by the very hands that meant to end you. You walk the way a person walks who has read their own clean page and believes it. Quiet, unhurried, certain in a way that needs no volume, because certainty never did. You do not need the whole road tonight. You need the next stretch of it, and the next stretch is lit, and your name is already on the page that lights it. That is all you have ever needed, and it is exactly what you have been handed. They are still in that silent room, rereading the file for the line that saves them. There is no such line. There never was. If this one reached you, leave a like so it lands next in front of the person who needs it.